Morning, Susan. So you seen that guy Donald in here the last couple of days? It's been weird. Like I thought he was all down to come down here, and I don't know what his plans were to just like. I just was laying a bunch of ideas out there. I got a million ideas and not the resources to do any of them except maybe work on one at a time, a little bit here and there. So I'm just laying out all the ideas, different things I could do with a little help, just to kind of give an idea of what I'm about. And as far as I knew, we were laying down plans, and everything was groovy. And then, last minute, I was like, wait a minute, just in case the guy's got wrong ideas, let me just be clear and make sure he understands I'm not gay. So if there's anything like that going on, I told him that was the last thing I said. If there's any expectation like that, I'm not accusing anybody. I'm just saying I'm not into that. So if that's what you're trying to set up for, that's not happening. And, I don't know. We're just chatting, and I go to sleep and wake up at like 5 o'clock this morning and see a message where he's like, "Oh, you called me out on live." And no, and like just totally flipped 180 on me. And I don't know what I supposedly called him out on. I wasn't calling anybody out. I wasn't accusing anybody of anything. I was just laying down some boundaries for myself. Sorry if you ran face first into one of them, but that's not what my intention was. Don't out yourself here in the messages by freaking crying about it. Just make up some excuse, dude. Seriously, just be like, oh, I thought we were hitting it off. Like, okay, I get it. I've been after a girl before and thought we were hitting it off and been wrong. So there's no crime in that. Like, don't we, I don't know if he's gay or not. Maybe he got the impression I want him to rebuild my whole world for me on his budget. No, I'm just saying, hey, you could cruise around in the canoe and not spend anything. Or you could help me rebuild the world. Either one, and anywhere in between there. I'm just saying what ideas I got. I'm not putting any expectations on anybody but myself. That was just weird. Yeah, I think that's the only thing I can think of that he could have like flaked out on me over. Because that's the last thing that's really the last thing I mentioned before going to bed. And I was just jokingly like, hey, I've heard how you Navy guys are. I wasn't serious. But I don't know, that's like now I'm feeling seriously gaslit because the dude's like freaking trying to blame me for turning 180. As if I'm trying to throw something at him that, like, I don't know what. That's the weird thing, is he says, I called him out, but he hasn't really explained what exactly I called him out on. And then he backpedaled and was like, then he started saying I'm trying to make him rebuild my whole situation. And yeah, no, it's real simple. I laid down some boundaries because I've had some people, in the past I've had people that were like, hey, let me help you out with this, that, and the third. And I thought they were just being nice, or they were just excited about the same things I'm excited about. And it turned out they thought they were going to get in my pants, and I didn't know they were gay. So I just was like, hey, let me throw this out there. Just make sure that's not, don't come driving across the state to meet me if that's your plans, because I don't swing that way. No judgment. I'm not calling anyone out. I'm just laying out a boundary. I don't do dinky. Apparently Yeah, I was just trying to lay out some freaking boundaries and make sure he didn't waste a bunch of time and money on something he wasn't really truly into. But you know what? He did that to himself because he's sitting there pretending to be into something he's not into to try to get into something I'm not into. Like, don't fucking be fake. If you're not fake, then you won't run into that problem. You know, just be straight about whatever the fuck. I got no judgment. I don't care if you suck whatever. I don't care. You know, I don't hate you for it. I got a brother that probably, I'm pretty sure does. You know, like, probably two. You know, and I love the one that puts on dresses. I love him. The one that's closet case, I can't stand him because he's a fucking two-faced asshole. You know, and it's like, can't just be straight and be who you are. There's something wrong with you. Like, yo, there's nothing wrong or unnatural about gay. That's all over in all the animal kingdom in every species. So it's kind of hard to convince me it's not normal when it's seen in every mammal species. You know, so don't be ashamed of it, but don't pretend to be something you're not to try to get something, because you end up with misunderstandings. You know? Yeah. And if you're not getting what you want, then you're just not looking in the right place. Because there's somebody out there that's into whatever you're into. Wow. I dated a girl for a short while, and her brother, right in the beginning, I don't remember what it was about, but we were joking around, and I said something gay as fuck just in joking. And he started playing along, and then I was like, no, but seriously, I'm not gay. And he got all mad. And he really hated me after that. And I realized what happened is that he got excited because he had some sugar in his tank. And I was just joking. I'm like, dude, I'm dating your sister, not you. You know, like, that was weird. But man, he started hating and threatening. He started threatening me over the phone and all kinds of freaking craziness, man. For like weeks, he was threatening me on Facebook, saying he was gonna kill me to make sure that I didn't hurt his sister. That was his. None of that ever happened. I just avoided him, and he ended up in jail over some stupid shit, something completely unrelated. And I sailed out of town. But what a weirdo. Man, that family got some major issues. His brother killed himself because his mother sexually molested him as a child, and he couldn't live with the shame, and just fucking... And his sister couldn't keep her mouth shut and went and told the whole world, and so his brother kept getting embarrassed with the freaking... everyone he met and respected, and freaking like would find out that what his mom did to him, and you know, and it's just like, fuck, dude. What a fucked up family. The whole family was all sexually messed up. And I'm not going to name names or point fingers, because that's, you know, I'm talking about a situation. I'm not talking about people, like specific people, you know. Talking about people in general, because we're talking about life. We're sharing life stories and information, but I'm really not into calling anybody out. If anything, if I'm having a, I would have rather, like, that dude could have had that discussion with me without it going. In fact, I'm going to go delete the comments that he posted, just because I don't, when I get out of here, I'm going to delete those comments, because he'll be embarrassed about it later in life if people read that shit. You know, obviously it's either some other psychological issue. You know, maybe my crazy and his crazy just clashed. I don't fucking know. Maybe there's something I said that I don't realize, man. I'm not the best communicator in the world. You know, like I'm easily misunderstood quite often. I give up easy because with any friendship, I give up easy. Any partnership, boss, because look, if it feels like a struggle, it probably is, and it's probably not going to get any better. You know, it's like if someone is trying really hard to misunderstand you, you're not going to get anywhere communicating. Like you're trying really hard to be understood, and they're trying their damnedest to get it twisted. And, you know, and that doesn't work. So why sit there and butt your heads against it? You know, it's easier just to say, hey, that ain't gonna work. You know, and before it gets hateful, just be like, oh, okay, no biggie. Yeah, I've had two girlfriends at the same time, but I mean, that wasn't even something I arranged. That just fell into place like that. Yeah, don't buy into it, Susan. Tell you what, there's a lot of scams out there. There's a lot of scams. And you know what? You're going to see some YouTube videos that tell you how easy it is to build a cooler. And it'll show you where you put some copper coils together and a little skinny capillary tube and a pump in between them. And they shoot some what do they use? They use like a baster needle, and they'll fill it with a liquid gas. Oh man, what is it? Butane, isobutane. Okay, and then suddenly the whole room is cold. You see that coil getting cold and frosty. Let me tell you the trick they use to trick you into believing that it's really just a trick to get you to watch their video. Okay, what they do is they spray the coil with isobutane on the outside, and then they videotape it. They video record it, and you see it's already frosty when they spray it, and you're watching it like defrost, and they reverse it. They could just separate the film and the audio, and they reverse it to where you're watching it defrost, but it looks like you're watching it frost, forming frost. But it's actually they just sprayed some isobutane on the outside of some copper to make it cold, and then record it defrosting. Well, getting troll bombed again. Yeah, no. There are ways of building your own cool pump, your heat pump, and those videos, they're actually something to it. Like you could actually build a little mini micro air cooler. Yeah, I'm getting ready to go up there and do some work today. He don't have a phone, so he called me on a friend's phone. It's all good. I gotta eat breakfast this morning though. So I'm out of cigarettes, sipping coffee, and frying up some breakfast sausage. No, I might be wrong. Maybe dude just misunderstood. I don't know. Maybe he thought I was expecting him to. That's weird too, because I was like, he said make a list of all the things you need. I'm like, damn, well, that's a long list. Why don't you just throw 30 million at it? Like, skip the list, throw me 30 million and I'll go buy everything I need. Like, don't ask me for a list of everything I need, because I'll give you a list that doesn't end. I don't know how much you want to give. It's not up to me to decide how much someone wants to give, but I have an endless list of things I'd like to buy and build. Like, I'm not putting any expectation on anyone to fulfill that list. Any of it. But if somebody wants to come out and learn, like, a bunch of stuff and have an adventure sail cruising on a canoe, okay, there's two lists. There's a list of all the things I would like to have that I don't expect to get, and there's a list of things you're going to need to do this with me. And that list is not negotiable. Like, if you're going to come out here, you got to have a vessel that's going to be at least in the same class, be able to travel in the same waterways and at the same speed, and and like be able to carry the supplies you need to keep you alive in between supply stops. That's all it is. I'm not trying to profiteer, obviously not profiteering off of anyone here. So, like, I don't understand where the misunderstanding came from, unless it was just me. Like, I don't know, man. I think he's just looking for an out because he found out I'm not gay. That's the only thing that I can think of. But, what makes sense to me doesn't necessarily make sense to someone else. Maybe his brain is thinking a completely different way. I don't know, but I suspect that. Because why else would he say that I called him out? Like, like, if it was over some unreasonable expectation, he would have said that. But he didn't. He said, you called me out on live chat. And I'm like, well, that's what the fuck I do. Is I sit here all day and call people out. I'm calling everybody out in the whole world all the time. That's what I do. That's what live chat is. Like, I don't know you. I didn't call him out. I just made a boat and he jumped in it. Like, I didn't even call him gay. I just said, if you're gay. And he said, yep, I'm gay. No, he didn't actually say that. I'm just saying, like, by his actions, nothing else really makes sense. A trip out, Max, that's easy. Come to my, like I was telling him, you don't even need to bring a canoe. I'll get you a fucking canoe if you want to just come out on the water and do some canoeing while I'm here. Like, we don't have to sail to Tampa. We don't have to have a 3-month journey together to call it a day. Like, we can go fishing for a day right here. Like, I'm just like, It'd be cool to build a flotilla, have like say 4 or 5 people that travel together, maybe freaking help each other find work or do jobs. Like, you find a job and you need 2 helpers, and you grab those two, and there's 3 guys still at the boats working on shit, or one guy getting supplies, and the other two, freaking one's watching the boat, and the other's walking the dogs, whatever. Like, it'd be cool to have a flotilla that works together on this lifestyle. But it doesn't generally work out that way because people have their own things they want to do, and it doesn't usually align. Like, people don't think community, they don't really see the value in community. The people that get out here want to be solitary, they value their solitude and their, what do you call it? I can't think of the word. $100 for everyone, or $100 per person? I'm not sure where Orange Beach is either. You're Florida, right, Maxwell? Yeah, that's right. You're in Florida. Yeah, I've seen a lot of. Okay, okay. Gulf Shores, Alabama. Gotcha. Man, you're lucky. You're in Bama Lama and you get to live on the coast and on the Gulf Shores, dude. Uh, or no, you live inland and you just trip down there to go. Because I was gonna say, man, there's not much coastline in Alabama. It's one thing about Florida is the whole entire state. Like, we're a peninsula. We're surrounded by water. Okay, so yeah, you're not far from the Gulf anyway. It might be quicker to drive through Florida to get there, but yeah. Then again, it might be quicker to drive to the river and jump on a boat. You guys got some pretty decent inland bays up there too. I was looking on the map yesterday up in that area. Oh man. Oh boy was asking me to be at the park earlier today. I get up pretty early, but getting to shore early is a whole different thing. Still got to make coffee, get dressed, clean up, eat breakfast. Uh, and paddle to shore. You ought to see Biscayne Bay in Florida, or like Lake Okeechobee. Lake Okeechobee is way bigger in real life than it is on the map for some reason. Like, it just doesn't. The proportions on the map doesn't do it justice. Cause you get out in there, and like you go out in the middle and you can't see shore in any direction. Just the water chops up, and if it wasn't so shallow, you'd think you're in the middle of an ocean. Yeah, pretty much, especially this time of year. all the waterways from here to Louisiana and up all the bayous are full of alligators this time of year. I heard somebody got eaten by one over in Texas the other day, or some big. I don't know how much I believe that social media though. I saw it on social media, so I don't know. Like 10, 12-foot alligator that somebody warned the dude about, and he was like, "Fuck them gators!" Jumped in and got eaten. I was like, first person in 9 years. Yeah, it's probably horse shit. Another Russia hoax or something. I don't know, man. I'm just convinced if you get eaten by a gator, it's because you were tromping around in their territory and like not aware. Like you stepped in his mouth. What else did you expect? They're laying in the bottom of the muck with their mouth open, ready to chomp anything that touches them. Why would you jump in the water with them? Yeah, the owner got bit because they're trying to save their dog, probably, or just gotten away. But again, if you got a dog, don't walk your dog next to the water shores in Florida, especially in spring and summer, and not except in winter. In winter, it's okay when it's cold out. You're fine because the gators are dormant and they don't eat when they're dormant. But don't walk your dog on the shore, or your little kid, or yourself. Just don't hang out along the shoreline without paying attention very closely to what's in the water and in the bushes around there. Because that's where, look, alligators don't go after people generally, but when you're acting like prey, a, an apex predator can't help themselves. They have to attack because it's like you're exciting their predator prey instinct. It's like you're sitting there tickling their snatch me button, and they're snatchers. They're stalkers. They're opportunistic predators that love to ambush their prey, and you're giving them a perfect ambush, sitting there just acting oblivious right under their teeth. Oh, right on. They're gonna grab up some pythons. I heard they were figuring out a way to track down the nesting areas where they're breeding mostly. Like they have breeding habits, and they'll find a favored spot to do most of their breeding. And if they track those, rather than just killing I think it's like they track the females back to those spots. Instead of just killing everyone they find, they release some females that go back to the breeding grounds, and they find these big hatching grounds and get a bunch of them. Yeah, also some of the Florida cats are starting to go after the pythons now. They're starting to realize that that's a new food source in the area, so that might help. Like, you got an invasive species like that, and there's no predators around, but or not enough. But once the predators are there, they may not even know that's a food source until they've dealt with it enough to where some generations have taught their kids, hey, we can hunt these when they're small enough. And a lot of times also the predator prey thing, sometimes a creature that's hunted, like they'll go kill the babies of those snakes because they know they're going to grow up to eat their babies if they don't. So nature does sometimes adapt to an invasive species like that. And I think the cats in the Everglades, the bobcats and panthers and stuff, there's a lot of lynx here, they're starting to catch on to that. Hey, we need to get these pythons while they're babies. Yeah, I don't know. You know what? Like, I keep meeting all these people. It's weird. I keep meeting all these people that I think I'd get along great with. That, like they're swamp folks and hillbillies and shit, and they do a lot of the same stuff I do. And I talk to them about doing some corroboration, and they seem excited about it. And then they find out that I'm an atheist. And they're just like, that's it, no more. Like, as soon as they find out that I'm gonna talk logic and reasoning every time they start preaching to me, they freaking don't want nothing to do with it. And I'm like, damn, man, you'd think if they found out I had a different point of view, why wouldn't you want to come on live stream and debate your point of view with me? Like, why wouldn't you stand up live against an actual challenge to your belief if you really believe it? Like, because me, I'm willing to, like, if somebody presented to me some actual evidence, some viable, freaking verifiable facts that would make me like, oh, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to be like, oh, okay, well, I could have been wrong there. Like, I don't know. It just blows my mind how people all over walk around completely oblivious to their surroundings, and then they act like it's this big surprise when one of them gets picked off by a predator or a passing car or whatever happens to be doing its thing in its own thing. Like, and they just wander into it obliviously, and or they want to walk up and pet that freaking fuzzy cow out there with the horns in the God damn, man, people just do the dumbest shit and then get surprised that they're dead. Yeah, exactly. We got history. Well, no, we got a lot to go on. You know, if when someone starts pointing out the religious book to me and saying this is the word of God, now you got a lot to go on there, because you sit there and look at those words. If they're the words of God, surely they would have no falsehood or contradiction in them. It couldn't contradict itself or reality or science or logic or reasoning or the laws of physics. It would be like, you it's not that you couldn't prove it true necessarily, but you couldn't prove it false. All right? So when you look in a religious text and you see all these things that are been proven false for centuries, it's like, okay, that's not valid. That we got to categorize that as myth. Even though there may be some profound truths and even a lot of historical truth in that document, you can't hold it as all true word of God if there's some falsehood in it. You tried to meet up with Dusty. So was it bad directions, or you just didn't know your way around without the phone? Man, I think about all the places I found without a phone signal that were just way the hell out into nothing. Finding dimes. I seen a cat digging for treasure yesterday in the park. He was over there with a metal detector digging these freaking holes in the lawn. And I was like, what are you finding? Bottle caps or sprinkler heads? Dude. Why are you metal detecting in the city park under the manicured lawn, dude? Like, I could see like looking for lost jewelry in the grass, but not digging the grass up and into the dirt below it. Like, dang, man, you're in the park. You're defacing the lawn. I didn't say nothing to him, but that's what I was thinking. I'm like, dude, do this on the beach. You're more likely to find lost jewelry and coins, and you're not tearing up anybody's lawn. This is the whole neighborhood's lawn here you're tearing up. Thinking to myself, dang, man. I could see digging up a lawn to find out what's setting off your metal detector if you're on some kind of historic site where there might be some long lost thing, I don't know. But just randomly throughout the park where they've already torn up, dude, it's manicured. That property's been tilled and that grass was laid there with sod, it's already been developed. The only thing new you're going to find there of any value is going to be something that's dropped into the grass when someone was playing, or whatever. Somebody took their wedding ring off and threw it, having an argument with their husband or something. I don't know. But you're not going to find long lost buried treasure under the manicured lawn at the city park. They've already torn that ground up every freaking 20 years for the last 100 years. That's just dumb. You're going to find bottle caps and sprinkler heads. But I didn't say that because I don't like to discourage people that are, they got a dream. Yeah, no, I mean, but like, I'm talking about like some event happened somewhere in this area, and like, it's not necessarily to take stuff, it's more about to find it and to record it. Like, maybe you're trying to find it to put in a museum. Like, yeah, you can't. Yeah, that's just my point, though. You're not going to find old coins at a new park, a new developed area. Like, I found old bottles from 200 years ago when I was working on a construction site. We were digging irrigation for a construction, and on top of a what used to be a city dump 100 years previous. So this is the city dump 100 years ago was buried and shut down and had junk in it from before 100 years ago. And I found this spot where there was a deposit of all these 200 plus year old bottles. And Well, yeah, that's why people don't want to report when they find stuff like that, because they'll shut the job site down. But the weird thing was, this job site, they already knew it was a historical site before they started. Yeah, lots of parks are built on rubbish dumps, but the rubbish will be 3 feet below where the top level of soil is. And then you got pipelines and irrigation and electrical and all this stuff that's been run in that ground. It's been laid sod, it's been tilled, there's cultivated trees. You know, you're tearing up the city's lawn when you dig that grass up and dig a 3-foot hole under it. You know? And yeah, even if you do find anything really of value more than a freaking lost coin, then you got to report it. It's supposed to go in a museum, not in your pocket. The same thing, I met a dude that was doing some digs, and he found an old grave out miles out in the middle of the wilderness. And so he just thought, oh, there's this great freaking, old relics that, he wanted to play Indiana Jones. I'm like, no, that's somebody's grandfather's buried there. And it's like, damn, dude. I started digging, not digging in the dirt, but digging in the historic documents. I started looking in the library, going online and researching different burial customs of different peoples of the time that lived in that area around the time where because it had some artifacts with it that gave me a good idea about the time period we're dealing with. And turned out that there was a native tribe, only one in that area, that buried their dead in the way that we found these people buried. So while this one guy's over there trying to freaking desiccate the graves and find artifacts to take home, I'm over there. I went over and visited the chief of the council of elders from that tribe, and was like, hey, you guys need to come out here and see what's going on. These are your grandfathers over here. Your grandfather's bones are being exposed. And the man I talked to's name was Joseph Winterhawk of the Ute tribe. I just came to him while they were in the middle of a parade, and he was in full parade dress. His ceremonials on and everything. He was getting ready to go to that, and I was like, yo, you look like the guy I'm looking for. Oh, I missed it. Yeah, a forensic analysis may have been able to reveal the names on a worn stone. Don't worry about it, random. You know, there's really, when you think about it ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, there's not a single square inch of this earth that has not had someone buried in it at some point. Like, there's just all the, yeah, humans have been around a lot longer than our history tells us it has. And for millions of years, humanoids have been killing each other here and dying of diseases and all kinds of disasters and situations. And like, there's just no place that hasn't been blooded by the blood of humans on this planet. At least that's my belief. And it's kind of like, you know, you want to respect the bones of the fathers, but that only goes so far back, and then it turns to dust and ash, and there's nothing left to, you know, like, at what point do you allow them to just return to the earth where, you know, where we all came from? I've spent some time on Indian reservation. I mean, I can't say that because there were a lot of people on the res that didn't smoke weed. You know, like, just like white people in the city, there's some that smoke weed and some that don't. We go on a reservation, there's some that smoke weed and some that don't. Like, that was my experience anyway. I was kind of, a lot of tribes, it's not just that you have jobs, but a lot of times it's that they, you know, they're looking for somebody to marry that's not directly related to them. Right? And maybe Bob Marley's just that good. Exactly. Oh, man. I hope my boy Donald don't get too offended, man. I hope he's all right. I don't know. I don't really know what. To be honest, I don't know what set him off. I don't really care. It just seems like sometimes somebody needs an out, and it's best to just give it to him. And that's all good. I appreciate his help. It was nice of him to throw me a little cash. Yeah, Susan, you know what? That's what I saw. Is when I went on a res where, oh, I live with Lakota in South Dakota, and every native, I met a bunch of natives from all these other tribes that came there for this Sundance ceremony, and man, all of them said the same thing, that all their tribes were getting just totally, there's just not not everyone in the tribe, you know, but like, just alcoholism was a massive problem. They just never did get over that firewater. And yeah, some of the braves that I hung out with and learned to made friends with and stuff, yeah, they had alcohol problems. They'd get massively drunk. Just, yeah. Yeah, meth has become, that's the weird thing. When I was a kid, before the war on drugs, you could walk around anywhere and you found people smoking pot, passing joints around, and like it was not a big deal. But you had to kind of look back behind the scenes to find any coke or meth or heroin or any of that shit, you know? And then after the war on drugs, I noticed it's like I went to visit California and I couldn't find any weed. Everyone around was like, I don't know where to get any weed. We all smoke meth. And everyone was geeking out on every corner. There was an easy score for meth anywhere you went. And I went around the country and I'm finding the same thing all over the country all of a sudden. It's like, what the fuck? The whole country got inundated with meth. Right after the war on drugs, you couldn't find any weed, but meth was everywhere. And I said, what the fuck? I didn't understand it because weed is it's a seed. You throw it on the ground and it springs up. You don't have to, like, if you want it to be good, you got to treat it and cultivate it, but you don't have to get some to grow. It just grows. It's why they call it weed. It grows like a weed. But yet, you have to freaking cook up some meth. You need a chemist that knows how the fuck to make it. And you have to get the ingredients without getting caught somehow. I don't know how they do that. But, like, and it smells like a mile-high pile of cat shit when you're cooking it. So I don't know how they don't smell it being made up. So how did the whole country get inundated with that dope? And yet we couldn't find any weed. Like, it just was backwards. See, the thing is, the people they accepted the war on drugs. They didn't really vote for it. Congress just voted for it. The people went for it because they wanted to see all the hard drugs away from their kids. Because there was some of that going on, But damn, dude, it just got way worse. Because here's what happens with these laws that protect people from themselves. Is they always end up where the people lose a bunch of freedoms. But in the case of these drug laws, you just made the drug lords filthy rich by creating a choke in the market. By making it illegal, and there's still going to be people buying it no matter how illegal you make it. Then what you've done is you've made it very difficult to get and thus very profitable to sell to someone that wants it. You've made the value of it skyrocket. And if you don't believe that, look at the difference in value from, like, go to the border of America and Mexico and go do some shopping around for some dope north of the border, then go south of the border and see that it's about a third, a quarter of the price. All right, go another country south, and the price just went down to half or less. And go another country south, and bam, oh wow, it's a fraction of what it was in America. Why? Because it's legal there, or it's just easy to get. So it's just a plant growing out of the ground. When you try to outlaw its existence here, and there's like some other country just giving it, people here want it, and you just made the people supplying it super rich. It's the law of supply and demand. You just created a monopoly for them. And you wiped out all their competitors. I just remember during the Reagan administration, it was Nancy Reagan pushing a war on drugs. And it was, I believe it was Bush that actually declared a war on drugs. I'm old enough to remember his speech about it. So I don't know what Nixon said. I just know what I heard during the Reagan and Bush administrations. $4,500 an ounce of weed? No. No, in the 70s and 80s, an ounce of weed was $60, $80 at the most. We got quarter ounces for $25. And if you bought by an ounce, you would got a big discount for buying 4 quarters. No, I don't know what era you come from, Stephen, but I was born in the 70s, and I remember buying weed in the 80s. And, well, not really. We didn't buy it because we grew it. We didn't have money. We just had land. Yeah, where I came from, we all grew our own food. When I was we had subsistence farms out in the country everywhere, and everyone I knew, were farmers. And till I moved to the city, later. But even in the city, I was like, well, by then I already knew everybody, but out on the farm, why would you buy something that just grows out of the ground if you're running a farm? I get you didn't want to grow something illegal on your own land, but you still knew where there was some dirt you could grow some shit on, If you saw somebody trying to go around buying weed, somebody was looking to buy some, that's usually your sign that they're a cop. Because nobody we knew would buy it. We'd just share and compare. We're just look what I grew. And they're like, oh yeah, well, look what I grew. And like, oh really? Well, look what I grew. And you got 3 flavors coming together. Everybody just bragging about what they grew, and nobody would buy it because it was just your own personal. I don't know, man. The world's changed a lot since people were self-sufficient. we've changed to this world where we gotta go to the store for everything. And it all has to be government approved. And you have to pay for your right to use and do everything. Like, all your rights got taken and then you buy them back. That's what a dispensary is. They took your right to use weed, and then they make you go to see a special doctor and pay hundreds of dollars to get a card that says you can use weed. But you have to buy from this guy, but you can't grow your own. And it has to be special kind with this freaking GMO that we modified it not to have this, that, or the other oil that you really like a lot. You know, like, put all these restrictions on it and freaking, well, they didn't stop it from existing. They just monopolized it. Colorado, same way. They're like, oh, well, anybody can go get a medical card. You just go to this doctor. And I says, but why is it a monopoly? He says, it's not a monopoly. He's a weed doctor. I said, I know. That's a monopoly. How many people do you know are an opiate doctor? You know any opiate doctors? You know any cocaine doctors? You know any lithium doctors? No, but you know weed doctors. Why? Why is it, why is there a weed practitioner? If it's a medicine, shouldn't you go to your general practitioner and he says, well, yeah, it looks like you're going to need this, that, or the other for whatever ails you. Like, if it's aspirin you need or Tylenol, then why shouldn't any doctor be able to prescribe it who can understand it? It's not that complicated. Like, oh, it's prescribed for this, that, and the third. So why can't any doctor decide with that? Yeah, I'm just saying, like, since when did they have to have a specific doctor and a specific card and a specific dispensary for any drug? Since when? Well, since we had a generation of this most useful drug being outlawed. And government's selling us our right to have it. Just, to me, it's so weird. See, I remember a day when your body and your autonomy was considered part of your freedom. Your right to choose what happens to your own body. But yeah, I mean, that was what they said we had, but we never really had it because they're always telling us what we can and can't do to our body. I don't know. Sometimes I'm kind of like with Fetterman. Fucking let everybody have whatever drugs they want, and whoever can't handle it, whatever. If they can't get off the drug that's got them, so be it. It'd be tragic. A lot of people would just OD on the street for a long time until it. But eventually, the problem is some of the states have tried something similar to that, but instead of just letting it be legal, they're giving it away and encouraging it and like paying people to be on the drug so that they'll go die in the street. And that's a different thing. Yeah, after Jerry Garcia died, they started targeting the Rainbow family because most of those deadheads started hanging out and following the Rainbow tribe and going to what was that freaking concert, that band they were following after the dead. Oh, all that was muted. No wonder. No wonder everybody left. All right, well, let me tell you my reaction to your rant, Stephen. You get to share your experiences here, but there's a list of rules. It's really short and really simple, and the last one on it is be kind, okay? So, like, I'm over here sharing my experiences, and you're sharing your experiences. And I didn't call you a liar. I just said I had a different experience. And I'm genuinely curious where you got your weed, because where I grew up, we just grew it. And it wasn't that expensive. When we bought imported, it wasn't that expensive. And you're saying I'm talking about what I don't know anything about. And yo, you're in my chat calling me a liar, essentially. And that don't fly with me. Like, I appreciate your input on your experiences, but you do not get to invalidate mine and say they didn't happen. I don't like your attitude, and I just want to remind you of where the fuck you are. Because if you want to go preach in your own chat, that's fine. Go somewhere else to talk shit about me if you want to talk shit about me, in other words. Like, I don't care, it's not my business, but don't do it here. Because be kind isn't that difficult to follow. Like, I'm not rude to you. I was just like, hey, yo, I don't know where you're getting your weed, but mine was much cheaper when I got it. Like, okay, that's no reason to get shitty with me and act like you're something. Like you're just a viewer here. Have a nice day. Man, I don't know why people come off like lording their... Like, how are you going to gatekeep my world over your weed prices? Like, what the fuck is wrong with a motherfucker? Really? You saying you got ripped off for your weed and you're mad and now I must be full of shit? No, I'm just saying you didn't know the same growers I knew. Like, I didn't go to the corner at the 7-Eleven downtown in San Francisco to buy some weed. I went to the guy growing it, to his farmhouse, and was like, hey, dude, can I do some trim work for a bag of weed? and he'd be like, yeah, sure. How much you need? And I'm just like, oh, like just an ounce or so. And he's like, he would laugh and be like, oh man, you don't have to work for that. Just here you go. I mean, I'm serious. It was like that. Like, sometimes it was easier to just, like, if I went around asking where I could get some weed, by the time I was done asking, I had a bag full of weed and I didn't pay anything for it. Because it's just asking the right people, and it's just they're dealing in quantities that they don't want to fuck with that little amount. The dude's got a whole field of it. Why would he care about my little ounce? I'm like, shit, just take it. Get out of my hair. He's got people trimming for him all season, and they're getting like a whole busload. I don't need all that. I'm not trying to get into the business. I'm just trying to smoke some pot, you know. But yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, people in low places, you freaking know who to ask. You can get just about anything free if you're discounted it. It's like, damn. Oh man, grab some fresh socks before I go. I don't want to put on a clean shirt. I'm just gonna, in theory, I'm going into town to go make some money and get dirty and sweaty. So, not much point. I'm getting super clean right now. I don't know, man. Maybe there's something totally wrong with me. Maybe I just don't communicate well. Maybe I'm an asshole and I don't realize it. Or maybe I'm just constantly being gaslit everywhere I go by freaking narcissists that think that the world is centered around them. I don't know. But there's this strange phenomena goes on when I go online, and or even, yeah, it's all right. Maybe it is me because it happens when I talk to people in person. It happens on the internet. I don't know what's, to be honest, I don't know what the fuck normal is because I never lived it. So who am I to say who's crazy? Maybe I'm crazy. And y'all just get the privilege of witnessing it right here in front of your very eyes. I don't fucking know. You guys think I'm crazy or shitty with people? Am I unnecessarily shitty? Am I really that hard to get along with and understand? Or are these people just gaslighting me? What's going on? It's so hard to tell sometimes. Because, I don't know. How do you know? Is it about you or is it about them or is it both? Look what I found in the water yesterday. Heavy glass brick for construction. It's like when you're making a wall and you want some of it to be like some light to come through. That's freaking, the thing's floating because of the air in it. But it's like halfway in and out of the water because it's so heavy. Let me grab my shoes. Be right back. Come on. It's a little sticky. Adrian, welcome here. I don't know what you walked into, but this is where it is, whatever this is. Fired up the motor and ran it a little bit yesterday just to make sure it's still good. Fired right up, no trouble. And I also saw a little gator crawling down a slide yesterday on the way in, so I figured maybe I'll bring you guys with me today. Might catch something. Might catch a view of some wildlife out here. They've been pretty regularly showing themselves. I think they're just getting used to me, and they know I'm not hunting them, so they're not trying to hide anymore. And that's exactly what I was hoping for. Get where I can get them on camera without baiting them or anything crazy. Like tromping through the freaking forest, stepping on them. No thanks. I just let them go by and get them. I might, once I know the young are hatching, the eggs are hatching, I think I might go to the cove back there and see if I can't do a little space invading and get like a little warning from the mama on camera. Like, not enough to invade the space, but enough to where, like, you don't have to. You get close and they roar at you to let you know that they're there and to stay out of their little area. And, no, as long as you just back out at that point or don't go any further, you're fine. Well, generally backing out is the thing to do. You don't. You're dealing with something that's as big as this canoe, and she's protecting her babies. You don't want to argue with her when she gives you your warning. You just want to go. But they will. They're not. I don't understand why people get so stupid with gators. They're not that unreasonable. They're pretty much, you know, they're there. Don't go jumping in the swamp and then being surprised at getting bit. Ooh. hot already. Get over here in the shade and I'll get you guys turned around so you can see what's going on ahead. I did not, Susan. I did not see your comment. I was just trying to figure out how I felt about the way dude was over here like gatekeeping about weed. You know, I've smoked a lot of weed, but I never made it that important to me. It's not the focus of my channel, you know. I'm guessing he was willing to pay a lot more because weed's a lot more important to him. Maybe I got the better discount price because the person with it just knew that it wasn't that important to me. And this guy ain't gonna pay a freaking arm and a leg for this shit. He knows where it comes from. Give him the family price. I don't know, but I don't think it's normal to get upset about me telling my weed experiences. That's not normal. I don't really know what is normal, but I know a few things aren't. What a scene. Generally, when I come around the corner, I see about 15, 20 logs looking like gators. Same ridge patterns off in the distance. And the closer I get, the lower those logs float. And when I get within view of them, they go underwater. Because they're not logs. Speaking of not logs, I ran out of cigarettes about 5 o'clock this morning. go into the now just I don't know if you can see this, but there's pretty much everywhere between me and that island, there's these little, I don't know if you can see them, little floating sticks that are sinking as I speak. The closer I get, the deeper they go. I don't know what if this is showing up on camera, but you just see like half of them just disappeared. And by the time I get up close, there'll be like a few leaves here and there. Yup. I had one slide down into the water, splash down off the land right to my right yesterday when I was on my way out. Just kind of sat there at the water's edge and stared at me like, see which way I was gonna go. You know, when you're in a canoe like this and you're real close to the shore and you hear some rustling around, you want to just get away from that shore right away, because it might be a 15-footer, big gator just rushing out of the woods to get away from something else out there, or rushing to the, you know, like he wants to jump in the water, and if you're right there where he first jumps in, he might come out of the bushes very quickly and stumble on you. If they stumble onto you unexpectedly, then it's definitely going to turn into a fight. But if you're just off a few feet and they jump in and they find themselves right underneath your canoe, they'll generally just swim past you before they come up and leave you alone. Just got to give them enough space to get into the water without landing on you. What do I think of the inflatable boats? Well, you don't want to ever buy a rubber inflatable boat that doesn't have a hard bottom and a transom that are all one piece of like strong fiberglass. You see the inflatables that have a insert for a transom and inserts for floorboards, but it's all inflatable? Don't get them. They're a waste of your money, and it's going to end in tragedy. And I mean, if you're going to use it for rowing around, they're fine. But if you're going to put a motor on it, get something with an actual hard bottom and transom all in one. And you know, what you're looking for is a boat that will handle the motor and you in the gear and still float even if all the ribs are deflated. Because when it gets a leak, the ones with a hard bottom even if all the ribbing goes flat, you just sit down low and in the middle and keep it up on a plane and it won't sink. It don't even take water. It just stays on top. And you don't want to run it like that, especially not in rough water, because the ribs will keep flapping in the waves and get shredded and torn and they'll leak more. They're expensive to repair when they do get a leak, and they always get a leak. They generally tend to leak in the back where the tube meets the transom. It's where they always start leaking first, and that's usually because someone's might put a bigger motor on it or beat it up in rough weather. But they are nice. They're nice to have if you got the space behind your boat or on the deck to keep one, and a way to hoist it in and out of the water, and you're using that as your ship to shore. They're real convenient because you can carry a couple guests and some gear and groceries, and it's just a matter of, every boat owner needs to choose what boat he uses based on their level of ability, their level of income, their level of, how much maintenance are they willing to put into something, cost of maintenance. You got to look at all that before you choose what's right for you, and what are you using it for too. See, if I wasn't always carrying gear and supplies and building materials back and forth, I would rather have a tandem kayak than this canoe. It's a lot lighter. I don't have to scrape the bottom. I just put it on the deck when I cruise rather than towing it behind. But I always got extra fuel and water, supplies in here, trash. I throw my trash in here as I back up, so I don't have to keep it on board. So, it does a lot of things. If this was a kayak, I wouldn't be keeping bags of trash on it. A gust of wind would blow it into the water. And I certainly couldn't carry a 4x8 sheet of plywood on it. Or a generator. I could put a generator in here and carry it to my boat. You can't do that with a kayak. Loud helicopter. I never get to see it. It was just barely behind the tree line. But it sounded like a military chopper because it's so freaking they have a different sound than civilian helicopters. There's a real loud, snappy chop to the tip of the blades on their propellers. The civilian, I don't know, it's like they're designed to handle more stress. And push with a lot more thrust. And they can vector harder and just more weight being shoved around at a higher rate. stronger angles of attack than a regular civilian chopper. It just designed differently, and it has a little different sound to it. But then again, I've been fooled by the sound of a couple of the, like for instance, the helicopter for Tampa's Bay flight for Tampa General Hospital. That thing is a sick helicopter, and it's powerful, and it's kind of weighty. Like, it's pretty hefty for, you know, a civilian operation designed to pick people up and have a rescue crew on it. So it's you know, it ain't a gunship, but it is pretty heftily built, and it's, I forget what they call them, the rear tail ailerons, I guess, or stabilizers. When that thing went by, it almost sounded military grade. Ah, there's a little rabbit on the shore. Dang it, I was facing the wrong way. I just didn't see it. Little bunny Foo-Foo hopping through the lawn over here. He's looking for dropped fruit to chew on. There's a bunch of edible foods that are falling off the trees around here right now. I've noticed some chew marks on one of the fallen swamp apples over there. Crocodile pears, whatever they call them. That's probably, I figured, either rodents or rabbits chewing on it. Oh, nice. Croc lures. That's funny. That's funny because I've spent the night in the swamps with crocs plenty of times in a canoe. Never had any of them bother me. But I don't know. Maybe it's just in how you carry yourself. I don't know. Maybe it's because I kept the lights on. Jeff. That's, you know, a lot of people have that problem. Life's always saying it's not big enough. Never had that problem myself. I can't tell you if it's because mine's bigger or is it just because I never had a wife. Oh, would I scare a lizard? I heard something rustling around, got startled over there. Yeah, but in all seriousness, if you really want two people in a canoe, it needs to be at least 15 feet. And a little tip for you, if you get the weight balanced and then you get some extra ballast secured in the middle somewhere down low, in other words, like weight, you know, even if it's just jugs of water or something, but make sure it's secured center and can't shift side to side. That weight down low in the canoe actually stabilizes it, keeps it from tipping as easily. Because what makes it tip is you sitting up higher, your body weight being above the center of gravity. If you get more weight below the center of gravity that can't shift, as long as you're not you know, obviously there's only so much weight you can put in it before you're swamping it. So, yeah, sometimes it's just a matter of adding more weight to the right place to get it to balance right. A lot of people have trouble with they put a motor on their back and it's a tiller, so you have to sit in the back of the boat and there's you and the weight of the motor in the back and nothing in the front. And so their motor boat's always cruising like this. And that means it can't plane off. You can't smooth glide. It's pushing, shoving water. It's putting the most strain as you can on the motor and the propeller and the whole system and going the slowest. I'm making the biggest wave, burning the most gas that you can. You get some weight in the front, jugs of water, a cooler full of anything. Just take a few jugs that you can fill with water and cap them and secure them so they stay balanced, but up front that counterbalances that weight. And then if you want to take some gear or whatever that's heavy, another person up front, you just dump that water out, you know. Or another trick you can do is put like a bait well in the front that you flip a bilge pump on and it fills that whole area with water from seawater. And that's somewhere you could throw bait when you're fishing. Keep live bait. Or turn it into a cooler, and you can easily pump water in and out of it just at the flip of a switch with a transfer pump. Something like that becomes your ballast. When there's nobody in the boat up front, you just put some water up there, and when somebody gets in it, you dump the water out so it'll stay balanced. So what time is it? So what stops you from canoeing, Mike? Disabilities? I just can't eat this much. Can't leave it in the canoe. I don't want to make sure there's no gators around. Don't feed the gators in Florida. Don't feed the gators there. Except at the zoo, maybe. You don't want them. If you toss food out like that, you want to throw it well away from you. And you don't want the wild animals associating it with people giving them food. Because we're not dealing with squirrels and raccoons here. We're dealing with creatures that eat people. And not in a good way. Oh. Retina detachment. So you're just listening. Telling me you can't see any of this view? You just listen to it? You can't see any of the chat either? Oh, man. Well, I hope you enjoy the sounds. It's the sound of me spraying some antiperspirant. Go to shore. I'm about to go to shore and call it a morning. And you guys know I'll probably be back around a little after 2 or so. 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. Sometime between afternoon and evening. Okay, so you can hopefully you can use some kind of light or image enhancing too from the computer and get a little better view. I always thought, man, it like, it's one thing to be born blind and have to grow up just accepting that you don't see and never, but to be sighted and then lose it must be terrifying. Because we as people depend so much on our sight. It's like way more than a lot of other animals. What was that? Sounded like a chicken. Clucking. There's one of those fruit I was talking about. It almost ripened. It fell out of the tree. Thinking creatures around here are plucking them before they ripen. Estado. I don't know if I said hi, but good morning. Let's see, I'm a little early. Not really. I was trying to get here early today, but I ended up getting here pretty much at the usual. How's that work? Yeah, you don't miss something you never had, but you really miss something you've depended on your whole life, or like your main survival skills. Oh yeah, we got snakes here. A lot of snakes in Florida. I don't really worry about them though. I've never had problems with snakes. Just if you see one, don't panic, don't freak out, just don't mess with it. Snakes are just actually one of the most misunderstood creatures out there. And they really have no interest in biting you unless they're big enough to swallow you whole. And most of them aren't. Yeah, this is Florida. We're inundated with snakes. There's about 4 different venomous species growing in Florida, in this area of Florida. But like I said, I don't have issues with them. They're just doing what they do. Alright folks, I'm here. Until next time, y'all have a good one. Be good to each other, and I'm signing out.